Jimming up. So thank you guys for tuning in. This is going to be the music special of the Gainz podcast. So sit back, relax. 40 minutes of calm, relaxing, enduring, motivating music. What if like we did a whole episode of you just like doing that in the background as I talked, like just like if for some reason like everyone's like they're like what is that background noise, unless they're like watching the video and they're like what in the hell is Roman doing?
We would probably actually get the most we've had just so people could dislike the video.
Yeah, exactly. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Episode 106. It's been a while since I've like called out the episode count, but 106 episodes. Fine dining, Gainz podcast, whining, episode driving, weight moving, carrots eating, Gainz podcast. Speaking of which thankfully we actually pushed this a day back. Just so you guys know, the Arnold is this weekend. Honestly, I forgot. I think Sam mentioned it to me, and I totally forgot. And then you mentioned it to me. I'm like, oh shit! I guess the Arnold is happening this weekend. You know what? I'm pumped for it too. But I'm going to watch Batman tomorrow on IMAX or Saturday.
Oh.
Sorry, Saturday.
Heck yeah. So Laura wants to see it during like a matinee because she thinks it'll be like more quiet. So
I don't know what matinee means, but go ahead.
It's like middle of the day.
Oh yes, I'm doing that too. Too.
Oh,
dude,
nice.
I'm cheap, man. I just wanted discounted pricing. It's discounted pricing during those times.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm doing IMAX too. So
Nice.
I think with the discounted price, it's like regular ticket price, like a regular standard movie ticket price. So and I wanted to see IMAX because I just wanted like the biggest, best, feature, because it's been a while since a Batman came out and I was excited for it because I'm a really big Batman fan. I'm not a Batman versus Superman fan. I wasn't a Justice League fan. I didn't like any of that stuff. So
yeah, I haven't seen like the Ben Affleck Batman movies at all. But Laura and I sometime last year we rewatched, or I rewatched. She watched the first time the original Batman series, like the original Batman ones with like. Are
you talking about the Dark Knight trilogy?
No. Before that, even like from like the 70s, like with Tim.
Are you talking about Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton, yep, thank you.
And Jack Nicholson.
Val Kilmer, Jack Nicholson, like we watched that series. Then I don't know if she's seen the Christian Bale Batman yet. But
holy cow!
I know.
Oh my God, you're killing my heart, sister.
She might have, but I don't remember because
if you need it, I have it on Blu-ray, the whole disc, 3-disc set, and the bonus features. So if you ever need it, I can let you borrow it, and then
I don't have a Blu-ray player. I think we actually might have saw it. I think we might have saw it if it was on Netflix. If it was on Netflix, we saw it. If not, then
it's on Netflix right now. So if you haven't seen it, watch it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was always on Netflix, but we rewatched it this weekend. But I didn't like watch it on my Blu-ray because obviously I'd have to get up, do manual labor. And I'm not all about the manual labor. I already do enough, I don't want to do that shit.
And we watched most of Gotham, like the TV. So and then
never finished it.
No, I don't. At least I didn't. Laura might.
No, I'm saying I never finished it. I think I watched like seasons 1 and 2, and then I fell off, and I need to rewatch it. It's really good.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
No, it's really good. Yeah, it's really good.
And it's like the story arcs are pretty fascinating too. Like Selena Kyle and all that stuff, like super cool. How she's
Celine Dion?
Selena Kyle. Catwoman?
Celine Dion.
No, that's My Heart Will Go On. But yeah, so that's exciting, Gainz Nation. I'm super excited to see this version of Batman because I believe this go around, Robert Pattinson is supposed to be like more investigative. So it follows more true to like the original Batman. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yes, yeah. So I guess I'll have to do a review for you guys if you haven't seen it, Rowan, but you could do it on a Saturday or Sunday. I think they do them, which I'm doing it Saturday, so I'm assuming you could just use an app and just.
We're going to a play on Saturday, so I don't know if we'll have time to do it on Saturday. Maybe Sunday.
A play on words?
No, it's like a Mulan play. It's 3 hours long, that movie, by the way, the Batman movie.
Yeah, I know. Believe me, yeah. I mean, I think the Dark Knight trilogy, the shortest one was 2 hours and like 45 minutes, and the rest were longer. Yeah.
Oh shit.
I think Batman Begins was maybe 2 hour, maybe it was 2 hours and 36 minutes, and then like Dark Knight was 2 hours and like 50 something minutes, and then Dark Knight Returns was like either 3 hours or just under 3 hours. Yeah. They like extended them each like every one. So. Who's
your favorite Joker to date?
I'm just gonna say Heath Ledger. I'm not gonna. And then Joaquin Phoenix.
I was gonna say Joaquin Phoenix was pretty badass though.
I like when people say Joaquin Phoenix or Joaquin Phoenix. I have a cousin named Joaquin, so like, and he spells it the same way. So it's hilarious when people try to pronounce that name. So.
That's awesome.
Joaquin. I have the Joker also on Blu-ray. I won that in a white elephant. I think I told you that story before. But also, I've never even used that DVD. I think the last time I rewatched it was on like a streaming platform. So, anyways, Gainz podcast. If you haven't looked it up already, look up the Arnold. I think they're doing free streamings. I'm pretty sure. We don't know. We haven't looked into it yet. We're going to look into it, but I'm pretty sure they're going to do some streaming. So check out the Arnold Expo. They do more than just bodybuilding. So check out, they do powerlifting, they do strongman, they do women's strongman, or strong woman, I should say. They do like, what?
They have fitness, figure, and bikini, I think, at the Arnold for women's bodybuilding.
Yeah, so check that out. It's pretty cool. I've been there personally. Roman and I probably will go next year. That's to be determined. I'm going to make Roman go, and I want to force myself to go again. It's really fun time. That downtown area is pretty damn nice, too. It's, like, pretty cool. It's not that far away. I think yesterday we were talking about, Roman and I were chit-chatting yesterday, and personally, because I want to get into like the meat and potatoes, but I did run 4 miles yesterday. Was pretty okay. Still not a fan of running. So training for that marathon is going to be a little hectic, but also I'm just not prepared. And also I just got done being sick. Like yesterday was like pretty much like the last day of like my sickness. Like today I'm like, I feel like my energy is like off the roof. Like I probably don't even need to drink this coffee, but you know, I haven't even had a full bodied coffee today. So, and then Roman just ran 3 miles, right? Or 4?
Yeah, 3 yesterday. I ran 4 on Sunday, I think.
How's your Tough Mudder training going? Good?
Good. Really good. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I think this episode, we're going to kind of talk, I guess it's like part 2 of the last episode. But we're going to probably talk about a little bit more detail, but like, we wanted to go because last week we kind of like assumed a lot of things, and we kind of went into like what functional fitness was and how Roman's currently training for functional fitness, because he is doing the Tough Mudder in June. So the Tough Mudder is just obstacles and running. You have to run, you have to do the obstacles. Obstacles could be climbing, could be, a balance obstacle. It could be something where he has to crawl on all 4s, things like that, right, Roman? Am I missing anything about the explanation of the Tough Mudder?
Maybe like swinging.
Yeah, swinging. Yeah. So Roman's been enduring that training, as you heard in the last episode. But this episode, we're just going to talk about like what functional fitness is to like Roman and I, and like how could you periodize your fitness training around like you working out. Currently, Roman and I train powerlifting bodybuilding style, I guess can I assume that, Roman?
I mostly just do right now.
Yeah. So I guess for me it's power building. For Roman it's bodybuilding. I don't bench right now, so I guess technically like you wouldn't even say I'm powerlifting training right now. So right now we're both doing that. I am trying to train for a marathon. Roman's trying to train for the Tough Mudder, and that's a 10K, right? You're doing?
No,
a 5K.
15K.
15K.
Maybe 18. It's 9 miles.
Okay. Yeah. So what I wanted to go first, Roman. How about this? Why don't we do like a definition real quick of what we think, because like there's no definition out there, right? Like it's not like functional fitness is kind of a generic topic, I should say, when we first clarify it. And because the fact that I want both of us to define it, I want you to go first, Roman, and kind of just like, give your best idea on like what your definition of like functional fitness is.
Yeah, if you look into the literature, like an official definition of it. But what I'd say functional fitness is the ability to input athletic endeavors at any point in your like athletic career or your pursuit of activity. So an example could be like, for example, I've been mostly doing bodybuilding for the past 3.5 years, but I've recently shifted my training away from pretty much just lifting weights. That's like all I did. Every once in a while I might shoot some hoops or whatnot, but I never trained to like join a men's basketball league. So more recently I started running again, and it was incredibly painful. Like not like ouchy, but like holy crap, like what the heck happened to my body? How am I so like unathletic? How am I a slug? After like all these years of like, still lifting and like, trying to eat healthy and like get like my 8 to 8+ hours of sleep a night, all that stuff. Like I'm pretty on point with a lot of that stuff. Like, 4 to 5 feedings of like protein of like 30 to 50 grams like per meal. Like, I mean, I'm like pretty on point. Obviously I have my slip ups or whatever days I don't quite hit it, especially when traveling. But I like really focus on this because it's something I like to do. So yeah, I'd say the functional fitness to me, the definition is the ability to input yourself into a physical modality that may be different than the current modality that you're used to, and still be able to perform it at a relatively high level.
Yeah. And all I'm gonna do is add in. I'm not gonna give another definition because Roman's probably hitting all the points on the head. The only thing is, like, the only thing we're suggesting or like defining, other than what we currently or what we used to do, is pretty much like Roman was saying. Like we pretty much were just doing movement of weights, and then like occasionally maybe playing basketball. I'm the same way. Like the only thing the difference was like hiking or playing tennis. And what this point of a definition is, because I think it's great for like the listeners and people who are watching to understand, is functional fitness is something like, yeah, like we suggest like lifting weights pretty frequent, like minimum at least 2 days a week. But we're talking to the people who, who want to, do triathlons, who are swimmers, who are in a men's basketball league, who want to run marathons, who want to run Tough Mudders, which is pretty much the obstacle and being able to sustain a longer run. Who wants to be, a rower on the side, or someone who wants to hike 2 days a week, all the etc. When it comes to like those specific sports. And also Roman and I could talk a lot about like some of the specifics when it comes to like, maybe basketball or like running or like obstacle running training. But that's what I wanted to get out of the like the listeners and viewers today, is it's just going to be something additionally on the lifting regimen that you currently have. And also the point of this episode is to tell you how Antoine and Roman are doing that with their training regimen right now. So that being said, Roman, since we did the definitions and just adding more flavor to the ramen noodles, I guess you would say. Roman, since I want to talk about periodization, and you might have talked about it a little bit, but how did you train before? And you could just give general like definitions, because there's probably a lot you can go into. How would you go into your training before you started training for the Tough Mudder, and how are you currently doing it now?
Yeah, I would do about 5 to 6 days of resistance exercise training a week. So like training for hypertrophy or muscle growth specifically. So what that would look like is mostly higher rep sets. Like a set of 8 would probably be like the lowest I would do for volume. For like major movements, like a bench press, for example, I might stick to like a 8 to 12 or a 10 to 12 rep range. But for something like a tricep push down or like a dumbbell or a barbell curl, I might be in like the 12 to 15 or the 15 to 20 range sometimes, and do like more pump work. I would focus on keeping my each exercise, each like lift that I do pretty close to failure, not always to failure. And I would periodize it in a way that I would get closer and closer each week. So the lowest I would go, unless I was trying to like rehab or prehab things, in that case, I would be a little further away from failure. I'd start somewhere around like RPE 7 or RPE 8, meaning I'd have like 2 or 3 reps in the tank. There's a couple ways I would test it to make sure that I was close in that area. So every probably 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 weeks, I would go to failure on most sets, maybe not all sets. So I might do like for bench, if I had 3 sets of bench of like 8 to 12, I might do like a set of like 185 by 9, and that would be like 1 rep in reserve, and like it might even be like at 0 RIR at paused bench, because like the last rep is coming up like this, so I might even like be giving myself more credit than like, so it's not a situation where it's just like woof, and then I like rack it. I'm pretty close to failure. I've like done this way before, and like I've failed, or I'm like, I'll have my partner spotting me, and I'll be like, oh, get it, or like help, and she's like, I know, I got it, like I'm watching you. But I say that because like I can tell I've gotten to the sticking point and I'm not able to push past it, for example. And then if we're just like focusing on that like one muscle group for chest, for example, I might do like 3 sets of dumbbell incline, and I might do like RPE like 9, 9, 10 in the last week, but I would probably start at around like 7. So mostly just training. And like I said, 5 to 6 days a week, I would walk. So my goal would be a minimum of 10,000 steps on average per day throughout the week. So I try to get like 70,000 steps throughout the week. Would I go back and average it out? No, but like if I got like 6,000 one day, the next day I'd probably try to get 12, and the next day after that I'd probably try to get 12, so I could get back to that 10,000 average per week. And usually I was pretty good about that. It seems to drop when I'm like in like colder months, but that's pretty much it. I would just focus on like trying to like build muscle. Since then I've transitioned.
Yeah, as I say, so that was the then, and then like now with all that information, like what have you been doing to train for the Tough Mudder, and how has it changed? And is your weekly, your daily exercises, do they look different than before?
Yeah, for sure. So I knew that adding in running and increasing my running frequency, which is what I've been doing. So I started out just 1 time per week. I was like, that's easy enough. I'll run a mile, and then the next time I'll run like 1.25 miles, 1.5 miles. So I'm now currently up to 3 a frequency of running 3 times per week. I have a short, medium, long like run planned per week, and it's loose when I do it. I just pretty much won't do them like consecutively.
Some say loosey goosey.
A little loosey goosey. I just pretty much don't do them consecutively. If I had to, I could, whatever. I just know that it would affect my ability to recover. Yeah. So my general rules of thumb are don't put all 3 together, but it's okay to lump 2 together, especially if it's like the short and the medium. But I try to give a little bit of breathing room between the long run and the short and the medium, for example. So and I won't. And the other rule that I have in place is, insofar as I can manage, try not to lift legs on the same day that I have a run, just for recovery reasons, and that so that the adaptation is specific, meaning that I lift legs, I want the adaptations to be towards hypertrophy. I want to grow my quads, I want to grow my hamstrings, I want to grow the glutes, calves, etc. When I run, I want the specificity of the training is I want to become more efficient with like mitochondrial turnover, right? I want to be able to, utilize certain fuels so that I can become faster. I want to become better with my overall like respiration rate. I want to be able to keep my heart rate, my aerobic heart rate within a certain band, even when I'm like pushing it.
So real quickly, you might have mentioned it before. So when you're doing the 2 to 3 days of running, does your 5 to 6 days of training, did that switch to like 4 to 5 days?
Yep, it's 4 days now, and then
4 days. Okay.
I technically have a day that I just consider like accessory. So if like recovery is good, and I'm just kind of like beating around, I don't have like plans, then I'll do some accessory type stuff. It would just be upper body type stuff. It might be shoulders. I'll do some extra.
Well, also too, when you're running 2 to 3 days a week, you probably wouldn't want to do like a set of like leg extensions or hamstring curls.
So I would stay away from that. So yeah, that's pretty much the plan now is 4 days of resistance exercise training, 2 upper body days, 2 lower body days, and then 3 days of running. The short runs are between like 1 to 2 miles, faster pace. I might substitute those days every once in a while for more sprint training. So just like, sprint 100 meters and then like rest, sprint 100 meters, rest, maybe sprint 100 meters and then like run to a pull-up bar and do pull-ups or like, crawl or, do some monkey bars or something like that. So I'll allow for substitution on that day. The medium run is going to be in the 2 to 3 to 2 to 4 mile range. And then the long run are pretty much exclusively going to be like 4+ miles on out. So the goal is to work up to 6 miles by the end of March and then 8 miles by the very beginning of May. And then 8 miles will probably be the longest run I do. So it'll just be like that extra 1 mile to make like the 9th mile and then whatever up. That's my training currently. That's how it's
great. That's great, man. That's really awesome. And I know you mentioned it a little bit before, but like I think that's a detail we kind of missed on the last episode, like I think was needed. And see, the thing is with, we're doing like 30 to 35 minute podcasts. It's kind of hard, but, thankfully we can release more than one all the time. Right. So thanks for that, Roman. Now for my side, obviously Roman's a little bit more ahead of the game when it comes to his like functional fitness training and his Tough Mudder goal, because he's doing it June this year. The marathon, I think, is at the end of January next year. So I'm a lot further away from like the training stuff when it comes to like, like the training days and the training week. So I'll do it short because I kind of want to give some helpful hints and tips afterwards that after I'm explaining mine. And then if you want to just chime in and then maybe give like a rebuttal, or if you want to add on to anything. But what I would say is, for me, like pretty much, I just told you guys before on like previous episodes, obviously if you're just tuning in now, I'm doing full body 5 days a week, with squat and deadlift as like the main focus points. And then everything else is like hypertrophy movements. And I'm doing like 2 to 3 leg sessions in every session, and then like 3 to 5 upper body set movements per session, of total of 5 days. And like I said, I'm training for a marathon. So I've only been running once a week. So technically I'm working out like 6 days a week, you would say. And then I'll do like yoga once or twice a week, which I don't really consider that like a workout, because it's more or less like a slow controlled and stretching yoga. It's not really like a fast-paced yoga where you're going into multiple movements every second. You're not, it's not like a really hardcore exercise. But anyways, so pretty much what I've been doing every week is I run on Wednesdays, and I've pretty much increased. It's only been like 4 weeks, Roman, 5 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
And I've been only doing like maybe a half mile to a mile every week, an extra half mile or a mile. And I think, when it comes to like the end of summer, beginning of fall, or even winter, like eventually I'm going to probably do 4 days of weight training and then 2 days of running. And then maybe I'll do like 3 days of running and then 3 days of lifting. But right now, I think that's all I'm going to do because, with all this going on, I want to keep it enjoyable. And also training is my biggest motivation. I do want to be strong. I want to be fast. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. And then, so that's like the periodization right now when it comes to like my lifting and running. And I'm going to be doing like a 0.5 mile every week still, and then seeing how it is. Like, I did the 4 miles yesterday, yesterday, and it felt fine. I was just getting over being sick, and, it's just a little bit harder than usual because, your immune system just out of whack still. But overall, what I would say is, for some of the hints and tips, I would say is, if you plan on doing like an enduring event, I should say, events, a league where you're doing like, basketball, hockey, baseball, softball, football, flag football, whatever the case may be, whatever sport or whatever event you're trying to do, run a marathon, run a 5K, 10K, Tough Mudder, like an obstacle race. What my biggest concern / tips are, whatever workout regimen you're doing right now, maybe you're going to have to tweak that to the point where whatever you're doing now, maybe start slow like what I'm doing right now, and then maybe build up where Roman's at. Because if you could think about it, we're in two different specs of our events when it comes to like training. So right now, I haven't really changed too much. Like, I'm doing 5 days of training still, and then I added 1 day. So technically I added a workout session, but it's a different workout session and it's running, right? And eventually I might go down to 4 training sessions. I might go down to 3 training sessions. Obviously I am, heavily putting this on my reaction to the training. So if I feel the need where I can't, deal with the loads that I want to deal with or the hypertrophic movements I want to do, then obviously I'm going to have to switch it up so I can recover better. And that's probably what Roman's going to say too. Also, another thing with lifting and doing like an event training, another suggestion I would probably make is, if whatever training you're doing, maybe think about doing an upper lower split or a full body split. So when it comes to like training, especially with what we're doing, it's like pretty much lower base training. Like, you could technically, knock out a lot of stuff, or like what Roman's doing is try not to hit legs the same day of training, or like the day, if he has a hard leg training session, he's not going to run hard like the day before. So it kind of interrupts with that training. So what I would suggest too, when it comes to like these event trainings, is maybe try to think about upper, lower, or full body training, and then cater training and weightlifting with that other training and kind of balance it out. And it depends on where you're at in the training, because if further you are, obviously, the more you need to recover. Because I'm only running 4 miles now. What am I going to feel like when I run 15 to 20 miles? What is Roman going to feel like when he's running 8 miles? So we're not at that point yet, but you have to prepare yourself for that, because your weightlifting regimen is going to have to change as well. So that's all I wanted to say. Roman, finish this out.
Yeah, no, for sure. I would highly recommend that you write it out, but also, as Antoine's alluding to, allow for auto regulation. So for the ability for it to be flexible, it's okay to create like rigid rules for yourself, especially if you say like, if I don't create this rule, then I will like not do it. Like, I'll like be lazy and I'll just like hang out on the couch or whatever. Like that's fine. But also, use common sense. Like obviously like Antoine and I were like really passionate about like fitness industry and we love like researching it, all this stuff. But like if you feel like, man, it hurts to walk, like my right calf hurts to walk, like what's it gonna hurt to like give it a day off? And if you can like do resistance exercise training, for example, you can work on shoulders in the gym and it's not causing that pain to become worse when you work on shoulders and arms, then go ahead and do that if you want to still get a workout session. And if that's congruent or that fits with your goals. Another thing that I want to mention, because it seems like we're almost like kind of like, I'm trying not to swear. It sounds like we're kind of thing on CrossFit, but if you're a CrossFit athlete and you're like with CrossFit, it's functional fitness for sure, but it's being able to jump into any modality of training at the time, right? It's kind of random in that way. So you will have to be able to train running. You'll have to be able to train like 1 rep max, like testing of like resistance exercise training, and you'll also want to like work on hypertrophy type work. That's totally fine. The reason why I personally try to separate those two things, because there may be this thing called the interference effect, where your body can really only focus on one stimulus at a time, or it can only put a majority of like nutrients or resources to one training effect. Now, for sure, CrossFit has shown that there are limitations to that concept. But the question always remains, like, was Matt Fraser like the strongest Olympic lifter? Probably not. Like he probably could have been a stronger, better Olympic lifter if he only focused on that. But he might have been at that 95+% range, right? And that is why he's like considered to be one of the best CrossFit like athletes ever. So if you have to do that, that's totally fine. But remember, different goals. So if your goals are like, I'm training for like trying to get as strong as I can, but also doing this endurance training activity with biking, then that I would try to separate those as much as possible. Try and do them on different days, because when you're doing like your deadlifts, your heavy squats, your heavy benches, and then like you try to go for a run right afterwards, or this hypothetical is a bike. If you try to go for a bike ride, that's probably going to affect you, right? Your quads aren't going to have as much of substrate to be able to like power them. So you're probably going to feel lethargic. You're probably like not going to be able to like go as long. And if that's part of the training, like it's a CrossFit thing, for example, then like by all means. But if they're two separate things, then you might also want to separate them by like, let's say a day, or like as long as you can within a day, for example. So do one early morning, one like later on in the evening after work, whatever it might be. But I want to make that note about CrossFit athletes, because CrossFit athletes will have to do all those things. But the thing to keep in mind is you might be dealing with that interference effect, and that might be a trade-off that you're willing to take. But it's just important to keep in mind that could be a potential trade-off.
Yeah. And one last thing, I just want to praise you for saying that the auto regulation part, because a lot of people don't realize like Roman has the long run today. Let's say today is Thursday. Roman has the long run. His legs are absolutely trashed, but for some reason his back and his biceps are fine. They're totally fine. Back and biceps are fine. He can go to the gym instead, and let's just say he lifts on Friday instead of runs on Friday. He's gonna lift on Thursday, and then the next day he's like, wow, my legs feel pretty good now. So he's gonna run on Friday. And people get I probably get lost in it too, because I'm so like I go by the notes, I go by the plan all the time. But like people have to realize that you don't have to go per plan per se if you do the same work in the week. So if Roman's going to do back and biceps Friday and a long run Thursday, but he doesn't feel like doing a long run Thursday, he does back and biceps Thursday and then the long run Friday, guess what? Roman's still achieving his goal. And that's that. It's as simple as that. And you have to look at your training regimen just like that. You that's the only way you're going to succeed. Like, and also another thing is when you become more intermediate, like Roman and I, you're going to understand what it means when you say your legs are hurting. You're going to understand when it means my back and biceps hurt, but my legs don't hurt. So I'm going to go for a run today, because the fact that is, you just learn about your body so well, and you just understand that concept. So if you're a beginner, you'll have to learn that. But if you've been working out for a year or two or more, then you'll understand exactly what we mean by that. So awesome, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We're on all audio and video platforms. Make sure to DM us on Instagram, or send us a note on YouTube, or please rate us if you can on like Apple Podcasts. And then we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.